Please be advised that this recorded webinar has been edited from its original format, which may have included a product demo. To set up a live demo or to request more information, please complete the form to the right. Or if you are currently not on CSC Global, there is a link to the website in the description of this video. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, CSC eRecording Enhancements, Tools to Help You Thrive in Today's Market. My name is James Weir and I will be your moderator. Joining us today are Jason Staley and Matt Netta. Jason is the Product Management of eRecording Solutions for CSC in the Logan, UT office. For 5 years, he has led real estate product team, working closely with the development team, recording jurisdictions, title underwriters, and lending institutions to create best-in-class market solutions. Matt is a national consultant and manager based out of Wilmington, Delaware for CSC. Matt is dedicated to CSC's electronic document recording program. He joined CSC in 2015 and currently works with leading title underwriters, real estate firms, and lending institutions throughout the company. And with that, let's welcome Jason and Matt.
Thank you, James. Matt, it's good to be with both of you and look forward to this opportunity we have to spend some time together discussing e-recording and also the digital revolution that's been going on. So kind of our agenda for today, what we're going to review in this webinar is first we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the rise of the digital concepts or the digital world within the real estate market. Also, the impact that these changes are having on the industry as a whole and also affecting the stakeholders. Then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the benefits of these digital efficiencies that we're starting to see and be able to take advantage of. And then since it's kind of close to our hearts, and especially mine, is where does e-recording fit into this whole digital world and this digital platform? And then I'll spend a little bit of time at the end going over some of the new enhancements that my team's implemented within our e-recording platform so you guys can see how it works, so you see how the application operates, and kind of review some of these new features. So I'll turn over to Matt, and he's going to kind of take us through this digital real estate market and how things are changing today.
Afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Matt Netta. I've been with CSC here for the better part of 5 years. And really, one of the things that we wanted to accomplish today is conveying to all of you the shift that our industry is seeing at this time. As you can see from this slide here, 92%, a ridiculously high number of new home buyers are really starting to do their own due diligence. They're researching the companies that they are going to be working with throughout the home buying process. They're looking for the efficiencies that they want. They don't want to have to come in and sit down at a table and sign a whole bunch of documents. If it can be done electronically, that's how they want to do it. If they can sign it on their phone or their tablet, they want to do it that way. And to follow suit, everyone from realtors to settlement agents have been kind of grabbing at the tech that is now becoming available and now becoming, a part of the legislation to make that happen for them. So really, anything from a loan origination software to a title software to get the documents created more efficiently on through to digital closings, which are becoming much more common, and then through to the post-closing portion, which is where we at CSC step in with e-recording to make that kind of final nail in the coffin of a completely digital process. But kind of moving through things, as you can see, the larger portion of our coworkers, of others throughout our industry, know that they cannot live without the efficiencies that are brought by the technology that is available to them now. With an industry as old as the one that we work in, to see things like this, and I actually came into this industry at a very pivotal time when the digital age was really starting to take over as far as on the front end through the home buying process itself. E-recording in and of itself is a technology that has been around for about 20 years now, but the whole digital closings, digital signatures, digital notary or remote online notary, they are all still fairly new and still fairly in their infancy. So some of the participants in our market that have been making the push for the digital age are the ones that you see listed here. This is a number of organizations, both regional and national, that either lobby local and the federal government for new legislation to be passed, This has been particularly seen with MISMO and the push that they have made for the new standards that they have written that you'll see on the next slide with regards to remote online notary. But then kind of at the final portion of this, and as you see at the bottom of this slide, the vendors, CSC or e-closing vendors, e-vault vendors, we're the ones that are kind of with you every step of the way as far as getting this process closed up for you. We make sure that we do what we can to make sure that you have the most information available to you. When it gets to the point where you're ready to take those steps, it's the vendors such as us that will help you stay in compliance with TRID, which just came out a couple of years ago. We know that's still on a lot of people's minds. The government is really kind of taking a firm stance with this, but e-recording does give you that electronic audit trail that is so important to stay TRID compliant. Everything that is done within our system is date and time stamped with the username of the person that conducted the action. But with that, I'm going to actually throw it back over to Jason as he gets into some of the specific technologies that we've begun to implement to make this an even more efficient workflow for you.
So yeah, Matt, I had mentioned briefly there about going to the digital mortgage conference and a little bit about the savviness of some of the buyers that are out there, and talking about how one of the big conversations was, again, they want to be able to walk into a house, say, hey, man, I really like this house, be able to find a lender on their phone, be able to start the entire title policy process, get everything going before they leave the house. And that's really the dream of this whole digital mortgage revolution. And as mentioned, the e-recording side of it's a key component of it. But when you come down to it, all of these things together really are about convenience, right? How do we make it easy? How do we make it simple? How do we make it efficient on the current buyers today? And that's all of your customers that are out there. We look at our own personal lives. I was joking with Matt earlier today about how Amazon has moved into Salt Lake City. So there's actually an Amazon facility there now. And I'm an hour and a half north of there, but in many cases, I still get same day or next day delivery. And I expect that convenience all the time in everything that I do. And when we look at users of our application and we look at buyers out there in the space, they're looking for that same kind of efficiency. They're looking to, why would their corporate life be any different than their personal life? So it's that convenience of being able to just get to it quickly. And then also having it here the next day, or in the case of our recordings, no longer having to send those off to, say, a third-party correspondent or even FedEx these things, with having e-recording and the digital workflow, being able to send these things out immediately and then have that response come back. In many cases, most jurisdictions record documents within a day, which, you look back not that long ago and it was a longer process. The other thing to keep in mind with this whole digital workflow is something that I think we're all concerned about, which is security, right? If everything's going to be digital and everything's going to be moving around, there's data out there. And so one of the key components as a buyer and as a user of technology is I try to make sure that everything I work with is secure. And that's a really important part of it, is being able to know where my documents are at, where my information is at. And part of that comes with the transparency, being able to see, where the documents are in the flow. There was this point where, as I mentioned, we used to hand it off to a courier, or we'd hand it off to, say, FedEx or UPS or some other delivery mechanism, and it was out of our hands. And there's no guarantee it's going to get there. And in many cases, it made it just fine, but there was not a way for me to keep eyes on it. Where with the digital process, I can keep track of these things every step of the way. And then what that really boils down to is that communication, right? Being able to communicate with borrowers, being able to communicate with lenders, being able to communicate with title, so everybody is speaking the same language as we're going through this digital revolution, that we all know where our documents are, and we all know where we are moving forward in this process. So I talked briefly on the benefits of going digital. So we'll talk a little about the e-recording side of it. It's that very last mile of the entire process. We talk about, if it's not recorded, it still doesn't matter how much work happens up front. And the whole process is very key and very, very important, but we still have to have it recorded. And so on the digital side and on the e-recording side, some of the things, and we've talked a little bit about a few of these and alluding to them, but the real values are, again, going back to taking the process, shaving the minutes and the hours off of it and putting it into seconds so you can get your documents done quickly. Also, having everything documented so you know when it happens, getting this timestamps, things moving back and forth smoothly between you and the jurisdiction. One of the other things to keep in mind is there are several statutes and jurisdictions out there where it's first come, first serve, and e-recording gives you that leg up. Again, if your competitors and your partners are out there in the same vein, look, you want to be able to have as much advantage as you can as well. And then, again, we've talked about it multiple times, but it's that changing the recording process from being days and weeks to get it recorded and shrinking that all the way back down to, in most cases, and again, the average across the nation is less than a day for your e-recording. And then lastly, part of that communication thing is how do we notify our partners, not just the borrowers, but how do we notify, from a title office, how do I notify the lender that, hey, your documents are recorded, here's a copy of it, keeping that communication open and keeping it moving smoothly. And then the other side of the coin is really back to that security, right? How do we control our documents, right? How do we keep our hands on those? And one of the ways to do it is through that secure process. And Matt talked about it with our SOC 2 compliance. We have to live up to a SOC 2 compliance. It's what you, our users, and our partners require of us. And so we have to live up to the same secure scrutiny and even tighter scrutiny in many cases. So making sure that your documents are taken care of and being watched over. As I mentioned, I'm the product manager, so my job is I get to work with our development team and I get to work with our customers out there in the world and make sure that we're building the best products for you as well as the market, so that we're providing the tools necessary to make this digital revolution smooth and make things efficient for you. So what we're going to do in our demos, we're going to go over a few items, but here's kind of the main items that I want to focus on with this is, and I talked about being able to communicate. I'm going to take you through our custom email notifications. This is actually a feature that will allow you to send a notice to another party on letterhead coming from you of when the document is recorded, as well as deliver that document with it. Other things that we're going to talk about is document type recognition, being able to expedite the process by putting your documents into our application, and we'll tell you what your document type is. One of the things I won't be able to demonstrate to you, but I think it's a very key component that we need to discuss briefly, is integrations. Being able to integrate with your systems specifically, or even with the partners that you use. So, for example, if you're a title firm and you use Resware, RamQuest, SoftPro, Tracker Pro, the myriad of title prep systems that are on the market, we've integrated with them. And what that does is, again, how do we expedite that workflow? You're preparing those documents in those TPS systems. You should also be able to send from there. And so when you're in those applications, you can send your documents out of the application, and it will go into our application and be able to send to the county cleanly. And then the other thing, back to that security, is what's very important is, look, not only do we have to live up to that SOC 2 compliance, but we keep all our data in world-class data centers. So we keep it on-prem so that we manage it for you. It's not tucked away out in the cloud. It's managed so you can keep your hands on it, and we can provide that security. So James, I'm going to get ready in just a second to get this prepared, but here's the items that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about, again, doc type recognition. We're going to take you through a trailing document process, how to schedule documents to send at a later date, the ability to send notes to counties, as well as the collected fee report. So Matt briefly touched on the TRID requirements and being able to reconcile that. I'll show you how we're going to reconcile that within our application, as well as how the estimated fees work, and then email notifications. And the last thing we'll talk about is a little bit about our support. I don't know how many of you are aware, but CSC is a 120-year-old company that provides support for companies, and we pride ourselves on the service that we provide. And so I'll take you through how you can communicate with our support team, and they can be able to help you.